You're a Hiroshima atomic bomb survivor. You remember the watermelon that morning. Your mother cut half of it and put it on a bamboo tray in the kitchen, telling you to wait until evening to eat it. It was Monday, August 6th, 1945, just past 8 a.m. You were 19, working at a textile factory in downtown Hiroshima. The walk to work took 25 minutes, so you left home a little earlier than usual. You'd walked about 1.8 kilometers from home when you heard the air raid siren. But you didn't think much of it that day. There had been alarms the day before, and the day before that, and nothing ever happened. The US B-29s had already bombed many Japanese cities. Hiroshima had stayed quiet. Some said the reason Hiroshima was spared was because America had prisoners there. Others said the city's terrain made it a poor target. You didn't know which story to believe. All you knew was that the watermelon was sitting on the bamboo tray, waiting for you. 8:15 a.m. the explosion. You didn't hear it. That's important because later, a lot of people assumed survivors must have been jolted awake by the sound of the blast. Not true. The light came faster than sound, faster than your nervous system could process anything at all. It just appeared, a white flash, not coming from any direction, the whole sky turning white at the same time. Then the blast wave. You were thrown about 4 meters. Your back hit something, maybe a low wall, maybe the base of a utility pole. You couldn't tell. When your senses came back online, you found yourself sitting on the ground, and the buildings around you were falling toward you. It happened slower than you'd have imagined. Not like an explosion in the movies. It was a slow, exhausted collapse, as if everything had held on for as long as it could and finally given up. You were 1.8 kilometers from the hypocenter. In Hiroshima, there is a word, hibakusha, people affected by the atomic bombing. That word became an identity, not exactly an honor, not exactly a shame, a mark that set you apart from everyone else. For a while, hibakusha had trouble finding work because employers didn't know if radiation was contagious, even though science already had the answer. Fear spreads and fades on its own schedule, not science's. For a while, hibakush had trouble marrying because people worried about heredity, about the next generation, about a body that had been exposed to radiation and might fall apart somehow at some future point. You went for checkups again and again. The rate of leukemia was significantly higher among survivors. You read that in some report. The numbers were precise. The charts were clear. But one of those numbers could be you, and no chart could ever make that fact any easier or harder to accept. You kept living because life does not ask whether you are ready before it goes on. Epilogue. The Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park has a flame. It has been burning since 1964. It is called the Flame of Peace. It will continue to burn until the last nuclear weapon on Earth is destroyed. As of today, that hasn't happened yet. On the day of the bombing, Hiroshima had about 350,000 people. By the end of 1945, the death toll stood somewhere between 90,000 and 166,000, depending on which statistics you trust, depending on where you draw the line around died because of this bomb. Your mother is not on any list of survivors. She was next to the bamboo tray, next to the half watermelon, less than 500 meters from the hypocenter. At 8:15, in the seconds before the white light arrived, she was probably thinking about whether you would like that watermelon when you came home that night. You lived for many years afterward. You learned not to talk about it in public, and then you learned that in certain situations you had to talk about it, and then you learned to tell the difference. You told the story of that morning many times. The order was almost always the same. It always started in the same place, with that half watermelon, because that was the last time you knew with certainty that the day would have an ordinary end.